Your future is set. I want to talk to you today about your future is set. It's easy to worry about tomorrow and how is everything going to work out. I'm concerned about my children. I have this problem at work. The uncertainty can bring anxiety where we live stressed and uptight. We look at things on the short term, but God's been working on you for generations. He didn't just start when you got here. Long before you were born, He has lined up what you need, arranging things to fall into place so you can fulfill your purpose. God told Abraham, "Your children will be in Egypt for 400 years, then I will bring them out with great abundance." God had a 400-year strategy. We're planning about tomorrow, believing for this week, hopping for next month. God is way ahead of you. He was thinking of you hundreds of years ago. Before your father and mother even knew each other, God was working on your behalf, generations back, bringing everything into alignment, the right people, good breaks, solutions to problems, mercy for mistakes. It's already planned out. When the Israelites came out of slavery, loaded down with treasure, just like God promised, it looked like that just suddenly happened. God just decided to bless them. The truth is, that blessing had been lined up for 400 years. God had planned to let Pharaoh capture them. He'd already planned they would go through things that weren't fair, have to endure that suffering. But the plan didn't stop there. There was a plan to bring them out, a plan to make the enemy pay, a plan to turn around the injustice, a plan to thrust them into their purpose. Yes, we all go through disappointments and things we don't understand. We make mistakes and bring trouble on ourselves, and we don't see how we accomplish our dreams now. We feel like we're in captivity. We've had these bad breaks. That's not the end of the story. Like with the Israelites, generations back, God was working on your behalf. That bad break can't stop you, how you were raised, even the mistake you made. That didn't catch God off guard. He knew about it. He's already taken it into account. That's why we can stay in peace. That's why we can sleep well at night. You're not doing life on your own. You're a part of a much bigger plan, that God has purposed things for you that He started generations ago. Now, thoughts will whisper, "It's nothing special about you. You're not important. You're just one of the 7 billion people on the earth." No, God chose you to be here. He has an assignment for your life. You need to feel this sense of destiny, this sense of purpose. Your life matters. You're strategic. There's something significant for you to accomplish. And at times it'll feel like you're stuck. Obstacles too big, the sickness too great, the pressure too much. You have to remind yourself that the Creator of the universe is not only with you right now, but He's been orchestrating things in your favor for generations. God wouldn't have given you breath to breathe if He didn't have an amazing future for you. Sometimes you have to go through the pain to get to the purpose, through the weeping to get to the joy, through the struggle to get to the abundance. If you keep being faithful, and you're going to see what God's been working on for generations. You're going to come into houses that you didn't build, vineyards that you didn't plant, promotion you didn't deserve, mercy when you should have received judgment. Think about Zacchaeus. He was a tax collector, and they were known for being dishonest and cheating people. And he was the chief tax collector, the worst one. Everyone looked down on him, saw him as a fraud. Seems like God wouldn't have anything to do with him. "Zacchaeus, you're making poor choices. If you would live better, quit cheating everyone, have a little integrity, then I'd help you." But God doesn't judge the way we judge. We look at people how they are, but God sees what they can become. We see the dirt. God sees the treasure. We see the mess. God sees the miracle. Jesus was passing through the town, and when Zacchaeus heard about it, something came alive on the inside, this desire to see Jesus. Even though Zacchaeus knew he was doing wrong, even though he knew he was off course, God, in his great mercy, began to draw Zacchaeus. He felt this longing. I've got to see this man. God never writes anyone off. No matter how many mistakes you've made, how many failures, how many times we've blown it, God is full of mercy. He still has a purpose for your life. What I love about God is He never consults your past to determine your future. What you've done in the past does not stop what God has planned for you. Now, sometimes religion will try to beat you down, make you feel like you're not worthy. The enemy is called the accuser. He'll try to convince you that nothing good is in your future. Don't believe those lies. God's calling is still on your life. You can still become who you were created to be. When Zacchaeus arrived, it was so crowded, people had lined the street to see Jesus. And Zacchaeus was short, well, hundreds of people in front of him. He could have gone back home, thought. Too bad. Didn't work out. But he looked over and saw this sycamore tree. He had an idea. If I get up in that tree, I'll be able to see Jesus. He went and climbed the tree, grabbed this branch, another branch, climbed higher and higher. Now he had a perfect view. He could see everything so clearly. In a few moments, Jesus came walking by. This is what everyone was waiting for. They're all trying to get Jesus' attention, waving, shouting. Zacchaeus was taking it all in. About that time, Jesus stopped. He turned and looked up in the tree. I'm sure Zacchaeus nearly passed out. Now all the eyes were on him. You could hear a pin drop. Zacchaeus thought, oh man, great. He's going to let me have it. He knows I'm a sinner. He knows I cheat people. He was feeling so guilty. But Jesus said, Zacchaeus, come down out of that tree. I want to go to your house and have dinner. First thing Zacchaeus thought was, how does he know my name? I've never met him. I don't run in his circles. I'm not a religious person. Can I tell you? God knows your name. You may have never spoken to him, but he'll speak to you. He doesn't hold your faults against you. He doesn't say, man, you hadn't performed well enough. I'm not going to have anything to do with you. No, he's calling your name. What's significant is the name Zacchaeus means pure one. Jesus could have said, hey, mister up there in the tree, hey, sir. But on purpose, he called his name, hey, Zacchaeus. He was saying, hey, pure one. He was calling him not who he was, but who he could become. The religious leaders, they were offended. They said, why would Jesus go eat with such scum? Notice the people called him scum, but Jesus called him pure one. Don't go by what people call you, go by what God calls you. Zacchaeus came down on a tree, went to dinner. That was the turning point in his life. He repented. Repent means to change your ways, quit being dishonest. He quit cheating people, and he started making decisions that honored God. But none of this would have happened if Zacchaeus hadn't climbed that tree. There are sycamore trees that have lived over 2,000 years. Here's how strategic God is. Way before Zacchaeus was born, God knew, I have to plant a tree here because in a few hundred years a man's going to come along named Zacchaeus. That's off course. That needs my mercy. This tree is going to be necessary to bring him into his purpose. That tree didn't happen overnight. Generations back, God was thinking about Zacchaeus. There are blessings you're going to come into, mercy, favor, opportunity that God has been working on for you for generations. You don't have to worry about the right doors opening, the right people showing up. How is it going to work out? God has already planted your trees. He's already lined up what you need for your purpose. There may be things that look impossible, how you can accomplish that dream, or how your child will get back on course, how you overcome that heartache. God's already been working on it. You're going to come into a tree, something that you couldn't make happen. It's the hand of God moving you into your purpose. When you understand this, it takes the pressure off. You can live in peace, knowing that as long as you keep God first place, your future is set. God has it all lined up. Back in the 1800s, a 17-year-old girl was sent from Norway to America by her family. They were very poor and could only afford to send one person. They sent her with high hopes that she would somehow get a good education and be able to support the family so they could all come over. After the long boat ride, she got off the bus downtown Chicago. You can imagine how she felt, not able to speak the language. Why did I have to leave my family? Now I'm here all alone. She had no money and no place to stay. She walked around the block and saw this home with a porch light on, knocked on the door and asked if she could stay for a night or two. The family graciously took her in. The next day she saw this charity that took care of babies with no mothers. She was so drawn to it, she went in and they hired her. She worked there for years and eventually got married, had a daughter. That daughter would come to the charity and take care of the babies as well. Fast forward 150 years, friend of mine pastors a successful church downtown Chicago, and they've been seeing growth and favor, and they needed a larger auditorium. He didn't want to leave downtown, but finding property there seemed impossible. Kept looking and looking, he finally found a 1-acre tract of land right next to the United Center, the basketball arena. He inquired about it. Things started falling into place. The land is incredibly valuable, but he had favor with the mayor, city officials. Against all odds, they sold him the property to build a sanctuary. First new church to be built in downtown Chicago in over 50 years. He was so excited. Before he announced it to the church, he wanted to take his grandmother by. When they pulled up to the property, she started weeping and weeping. She said, "This is the same property where your great-great-grandmother worked in the baby's home. This is where I came as her granddaughter to take care of the children." That 17-year-old girl from Norway, she wondered why she had to come, why she had to leave her family. It didn't make sense. But she was a tree. She was fulfilling a divine purpose. Now, my friends stepped in the blessings that started 4 generations back. 150 years earlier, God was orchestrating things that would propel him into his purpose. You don't know what God is up to. You don't know what you're about to step into. The doors that will open, the opportunity that will come, the favor that will find you. God's been working for generations to move you into your purpose. You haven't seen, heard, or imagined what he has in store. See, we think situationally. I have this problem. This obstacle looks too big. How could I ever get that property? But God thinks generationally. He says, "Don't worry, before you got here, I started lining up good breaks that you could never make happen. Before you were born, I was arranging things in your favor. You don't have to worry about your future. Your future is set. Everything you need is already in motion. It's already strategically orchestrated. The good news, it's going to be better than you thought, more rewarding, more fulfilling than you can imagine.